Hello everyone and welcome back to Amity Bloom. My name is Nazi and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys a glimpse of all of the elements and materials that I use to create my textile art journals. For the first time ever, I am offering a pre-order option for my Christmas textile art journals. This collection is the last collection of journals that I will be selling and creating for 2018, and I just thought it would be a really lovely thing to offer for those of you who have been trying to get a journal from me this whole year or for the previous year. I am going to be offering free US express shipping, so priority shipping, so it will get to you within 2 to 3 days. So I am doing that option so that it does get to you in time for the holidays and for you to decorate. And the great thing is that this is a winter crystal collection, so it's not Christmas themed. So for those of you who don't celebrate Christmas, or if you just want to use this journal as like a winter journal to document your winters with your family, I can already imagine if you live out with there where it snows a lot and your family pictures with the snow, like it would look stunning in this journal. So definitely send me a message on Etsy if you're interested in pre-ordering one of the 4 journals. If all of the journals get pre-ordered, so if all of the 4 journals find their homes for the people that would like to purchase them, then I will definitely make sure to let you guys know in the final flip through. This is going to be the first video in a series in which I will show you guys the behind the scenes of what it goes into creating a journal, especially a textile art journal, kind of like a documentary of my work. To give you guys an insight to what goes on behind the scenes when I'm creating a journal, I'll be giving you guys some tips and some tricks along the way if you're interested in creating a journal like mine for inspiration. The biggest inspirational videos for me are the videos that I see from top grade artisans creating their work, whether it be leather, wood, fabric, obviously fabric. It inspires me so much, and even though I don't know some of the materials they're using or the techniques, just seeing an artisan work with their hands, seeing their materials, and how they create magic with the use of their hands. So I'm going to be doing this for my first collection, which is called the Winter Crystal Collection. That is the name of my Christmas journals that I'm going to be creating for 2018. And I wanted to take you along and show you the process behind it. So for the elements of the Winter Crystal Collection, I really wanted to focus on fabrics, sequins, and beads. That is my trio that's going to create magic. I want to bring that crystal element into my journals. So let's start off with the fabric. A lot of you tend to ask where I get my fabric from, where I purchase it, how do I use it, how do I select my fabric for textile art journals, and let me show you some of the fabrics that will be used for the Winter Crystal Collection. Oh, this looks so beautiful. Oh my gosh, the texture of this is wonderful. This is going to be the Shining Star, which I will share with you what this is. It's actually an article of clothing, and I will tell you the story behind that. Of course, different types of brocade laces. Alright, so these are just a couple of the fabrics that I have, and I'm literally talking a couple. I have a huge box filled with, I think, about 25 to 30 different fabrics from my collection in the mints, the blues, the whites, and the creams. That is the color scheme that I'm going to be using for my Winter Crystal collection. And these are the fabrics that I wanted to talk about because they're all different. However, they all will go together perfectly. And I hope they're not getting washed out since it is a very bright day today. And sometimes the lighting looks funny with it. But if you can only see this in particular in person, you would fall in love with it if you're a fabric enthusiast like me. So when you're creating a journal, either for your shop or for someone, definitely try to get the best quality products out there. You can't beat, authentic fibers and authentic textiles. So this is just 2 of, I believe I have 10 different types of linens that I'm going to be using. They're all embroidered. They all have some type of texture on them, which is very important. You want to make sure that it's not just plain like a cotton print. You want it to have texture. All of my fabrics, and you'll see with my accent fabrics, they all have texture. They're 3-dimensional. They're not 1-dimensional. So when working with linens, you really want to find that beautiful texture because that's going to kind of bring your journal to life. Literally, you can actually feel it. So here are some of the linens that I'm using. This one was included in our fabric bundle. the French fabric bundle that we recently sold. And this one I recently purchased from the Scott's Antique Market. That's where I get some of my fabrics, especially my laces and linens. And you can't beat it. There's a lady there that sells, she travels from France and she sells authentic linens. I loved it because it still had the label on. I have so many to use, so I cannot wait to start using this. Of course, anything left over will be included in our linen and lace textile kit that will be coming in 2019. So this is just to get you an idea as to the types of linens that I use. I try to do very monochromatic linens, so all whites, no colors, especially because the color that we're adding is coming from the mints and the blues. These are some fabrics that I'm going to be using to create the base of the cover. These are upholstery type of fabric, so they're thicker. They're not too thick that you can't work with them, but they are slightly thicker than like a linen or a cotton. And they're absolutely beautiful. They have a lovely brocade to them. They have texture, and they're in the color scheme that I like. So this is just a scrap that I cut off. I have a bolt of this fabric and a bolt of this one. So I do have a good amount of this fabric, so that's why it's kind of cut into an awkward ways, because I just kind of trim what I need. And it's beautiful, this one especially, because it has one design on this side, hopefully you can see it, and then it has this blue, like icy blue, on the other. And I love those fabrics, and if you see, they have metallic threads woven in, which is the reason as to why it can change in light. And it shines in person. This shines. This one has a little bit of metallic thread as well, so it can change. And it just gives so much dimension to your cover. So this is the base of my cover, and obviously it will be embellished with my accent textiles. So this is another type of fabric that I'm going to be using. Let me move these aside. So this piece is actually a top. It's part of a really, really fancy little top here. Let me actually, these are the little sleeves where you put your, this is your chest and then your arms, and it extends. And there was actually a skirt piece with this. It was a two-set piece, but it was just, this top alone cost me, and I normally don't talk about prices just because it's ridiculous sometimes what I spend on my accent textiles, because of the sequins and the beading work, and you will not find this again. Just this piece alone cost me about $150, and what's so neat about it is that the base of this is 100% wool, and then they added the sequins and the embroidery on top of the wool, and that is very hard to come by. And on the back, it's this beautiful silk on the inside so that the wool isn't scratchy and you don't see all of the hand sewing. Let me actually show you and cut a little piece of it just so that you see all of the hand sewing on the back. There we go. Do you see all of the hand sewing? It's the whole entire piece is hand sewn with sequins and with beads, and then it's covered by the silk, and this is 100% cashmere wool. So this is going to be like the star focus of my winter crystal collection. I actually cut a little piece of it already just to see how to work with it, if I should hand sew, if I should pass it through my sewing machine. Sometimes when you're working with beaded pieces, you cannot sew it with a sewing machine and you have to hand sew it. So I was experimenting with how I can incorporate this type of piece into the journals. This is an heirloom piece to me, so these are like archival investment pieces to my fabric collection. This is one of the star pieces of the Winter Crystal collection, and I just wanted to share it because it's so darling and pretty, and in person it just glistens even more because the sequins have this rainbow iridescent effect to them, so it's very lovely. And now moving on to my accent textiles. Let me start off with the ones that are a little bit more boring, which is the basics. This is some tulle and this is some silk organza. Now, these two I work with a lot, especially when I'm doing textile art journals with beads and with sequins. And then these are the pretty ones. So these are some of my accent textiles. As you can see, these are the heavily embroidered laces, mesh laces, laces with beads and sequins, some blank laces so that I can embroider them or add more sequins or beading to them, and then some authentic beaded lace work, which is just, that's where my heart lies, you guys. So these are just some appliques that I purchased from a seller on Etsy, actually, and she sells appliques that already have sequins and beads on them. And appliques, they tend to be expensive if they're really authentic, they tend to be less expensive if they're synthetic. So I like to purchase both because even if you do purchase synthetic appliques, you still get a beautiful effect. This applique is synthetic. You can tell this is still being manufactured and it can still be reproduced. This applique cannot. I have a little bit of this in my collection and I wanted to make sure to save it for a special project. This is authentic, this is synthetic. This can still be manufactured, produced, and sold. This cannot. Once I use all of this, there's no more. I can't go to the store and buy more, so that's why I have less amount of this than this, and I have to wait to use this on the perfect project. This is the same example. This is embroidered lace that is not being created anymore with this type of finish. This is crocheted lace. This is a very thin, it feels like cheesecloth material, but it's actually woven fabric. Very, very light. So these types of textiles are not being manufactured anymore. They already were produced and that's it. I can't purchase more of them. So make sure when you're creating journals or anything, if you're creating a quilt, make sure you use a good balance of textiles and accent textile pieces that you can still purchase and some that are heirloom treasures. So try to keep that in mind. And then obviously for my winter crystal collection, I needed colors of mints, of blues, teals, and whites and creams. So these are some of the accent textile pieces that I'm going to be using and I'm going to be working with to create my winter crystal collection. Alright, so now we're talking sequins, and for my sequins, I wanted to stick to my color scheme, which is mint, white, and blue. And those are the colors that you see in the sequins. I'm going to be using the sequins to create embellishments and to embellish my fabric cover, all of my fabrics within the journal for the decorative elements. Sequins and beads are going to be used throughout the whole thing because for me when I think of crystals and icicles and just the thought of winter, freezing water and creating a crystal-like effect was my inspiration, and to mimic that, the best thing that you can use is beads and sequins because it has that shiny, iridescent, crystal-like appearance to them. Something that I've been doing for the past couple of months because there are a lot of journal collections that are going to be released in 2019 and I've been collecting fabrics, textiles, beads, and sequins for every single journal collection. So I have a ton of these containers with all of the color schemes for every journal collection. So for the winter crystal, I made sure to collect sequins of different sizes. These are slightly bigger, more iridescent white ones. These right here, let me open them. These are actually crystals, so I'll show you in the final flip through how I use my crystals. And then these are some beautiful blue iridescent sequins, and then these are some beads. These are some tiny seed beads and different types of seed beads that you can use in embroidery. So these are just some of the sequins that I'm using. And so for sequins, the more expensive that they are, the less quantity you're going to get. It's unfortunate, but it's true. These sequins right here were more expensive than these. As you can see, I have a lot of this. These were the most expensive to purchase because of that gorgeous, I call them unicorn sequins because of the rainbow iridescent hue that they have. And in specific lighting, they turn minty green, and then the other lighting, they look kind of pink purple. But they're really like transparent rainbow, just gorgeousness. So these are the most expensive, which is why I don't have a lot of them. But these will just bring a beautiful magical touch to my winter crystal collection. And then these are some semi-opaque mint sequins. These are some French sequins. I actually had to wait a little bit to receive these. And you can obviously see the difference. And these are the type of sequins that are used in like couture clothing with this type of size, the 6mm size. So these are really, really beautiful and I'm so excited to work with those. So these are just some of the sequins that I'm going to use. I have a couple more that are actually coming in the mail in a couple of days and you'll see me work with them through the process. But these are some of my favorite sequins. And then with the crystals and the beads, pretty simple, just trying to stick to small enough beads that can pass through my beading needles. For the beads and the crystals, it's pretty simple. Just choose crystals and beads that go with your color scheme. And because we're trying to symbolize and bring to life that crystal effect into a journal, I needed to make sure I had a nice variety of crystal beads and different types of crystals to enhance my journal. So let me stack these up again. And these are just the cutest little containers ever. They have such nice depth to them, so you can really fill them up. And I purchased these from Michael's. They're not expensive at all whatsoever. I think this whole thing is like $3 to $4, so it's super, super affordable. And you can hold all of your things and embellishments for your journals. Oh, I completely forgot the trims. That's a major part. So here are some trims. I'm telling you guys, it's never ending, and this isn't even all of it. I'm still waiting. These are just some of my trims. When I work with textile art journals, I like to, as you can see, organize everything into, you know, containers or categories, just so that it's a lot easier for me when I go in to decorate, because it can be very overwhelming when you're working with so many different elements. It's very overwhelming. So I create these just out of cardstock, not fancy at all, and I just wrap around my trim, different sizes and different types of designs. So I like to have about 2 to 3 different trim cards when I'm working with textile art journals. So there's that. And then I also have my beads. So this is some of my beads. Like I said, I ordered a lot, so I have a couple more coming in the mail. I purchase my beads from anywhere, from bead stores, online stores, local bead stores. I like to also purchase my beads from antique stores or any flea markets. But the one thing that no matter where I purchase, the one thing that I do have to make sure is that they're all glass beads. With my journals, I only like to use glass beads, not plastic beads, because plastic beads have no weight to them. They don't feel, you know, luxurious. And when I'm creating a journal for someone, especially textile art journals, and just there's nothing that beats glass beads. Like, they sparkle like no other, just like crystals. Swarovski crystals are the best that you can get, and then there's more levels that go on top of it. So I try to get the best that I can and obviously not break the bank completely. This is my blue side, my blue and mint side. Let me move it like this. I just adore the feel and the weight of glass beads. They feel so luxurious. So I have, as you can see, different shades of beads to create my charms. Now the other side are all of my white and crystal beads. Just like with my unicorn sequins, these are my unicorn beads, just because they have that same rainbow iridescent sparkle to them. Do you see that rainbow iridescent like shine? It's gorgeous. And then these are some more crystals, different sizes. These are so lovely. They look so cute, like little fancy marshmallows. Some small beads, of course. Some slightly larger, slightly smaller, and my metalware. And then here are my blue and mint beads. So those are some of the beads that I'm going to be using. This little compartment piece I also purchased from Michael's, and I think it was like $5 to $6, so really affordable as well. These two little compartment pieces, I got them from Michael's. And like I said, for both of these, it's like $10 or under, so it's super affordable, it's super cheap. And the best thing is that they give you so many little compartment pieces, which is what I love. And it's not too big nor too small. So let's say if you create journals but you don't have that much to put into your containers, maybe you just need this for your little collection and that's it. If you're like me and you go crazy with every journal collection, then you'd want to purchase more than one. So that is it to the elements of my journal. So this video was created for those who are inspired by my work, for those who are interested and intrigued on the things that I use to create my journals, and for those who are going to be the owners of my future journals, for you to see the elements that are going into it, and for you to see the process and the final flip through where you see, you know, the finished journal created. And for those of you who purchased my journals, this is just a little sneak peek to what's to come. So if you're interested in following this little documentary series and you're intrigued to see what's next and what's in store, make sure you hit the notification bell if you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the notification bell because that notifies you. It like rings in your phone when I post my videos. So that is all I have to share for the first video. Thank you so much for watching the elements of my journal. If you have any questions, leave them below. Let me know if you like this idea and you'd want to see more. I'm so excited to finally be sharing more of my techniques and more of my creations and materials with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I truly hope that you guys enjoyed. Until next time, I hope that you guys have an amazing day full of peace and love. Bye-bye.